first to admit it. I'm not used to laying low about my
Last
feelings.
night, we took our final bouts around the ballroom. Let's get into the series finale of Pose. The series finale featured 2 episodes for a 2-hour long special, part 1 and part 2 of the finale. And though it seems like we only got 7 episodes this season, we actually wound up getting 10 because the season premiere also was a 2-hour premiere showing episodes 1 and 2 in the same night. And we got a lot to talk about. But before I even jump into this, thank you, Stephen Canals. Thank you, FX. Thank you to all the cast and crew and creatives behind Pose. You all did a phenomenal job, and you will be missed. The episode opens up back in the hospital while we see nurse's aide, soon to be nurse Blanca, making her rounds and doing her thing. You know, she is the go-to girl for a pep talk. She is the go-to girl to make some of these patients who are struggling with very, very trying symptoms and are approaching death in their HIV/AIDS sentence feel way better and make peace with their diagnosis. We've seen that happen throughout the series, especially with Cubby earlier on in the season, and it just reinforces the fact that this is what Blanca is meant to do. But while we see her doing her thing, we find out that Pray Tell is also in the hospital, and this appears to be his final visit here. This episode covers the progress and triumph of the HIV/AIDS pharmaceutical trials and the amazing impact that these drugs had on the fight of the virus in the mid-90s that ultimately turned the tides and started to save thousands of lives. In addition, with these very helpful drugs, there was another huge fight happening in reference to their accessibility and in their affordability, and that is also discussed in the episode. Blanca, Christopher, and Ruth fight to get Pray Tell added into a medical trial, and Christopher does not settle for that one slap for Pray, but wants Blanca in on it too. Have I told y'all how amazing Chris is? And how much I love him for Blanca? Child, he is everything. Been everything, will always be everything. Ultimately, after arguing with Blanca a bit about how much she is worth this, whether she is sick now or not, and the validity of the trial, he gets his way and Pray and Blanca are in. Almost immediately, the drugs start to work and Pray Tell's health does a complete 180. This episode is beautiful and depressing in various moments. Seeing Pray Tell get healthy and reconnect with Ricky was so beautiful. He takes him to participate in the gay men's choir with all of those angelic voices and gives Ricky a little something to look forward to. Ricky looks and feels lost at this point in the episode, and it's wonderful to see them at this great place as their relationship ended traumatically before the group was able to send Pray Tell to rehab earlier this season. Though there is a huge age difference between Pray and Ricky, I always felt like their relationship worked. Well, that's until Pray got super toxic. They both benefited off of what the other had. Ricky provided youth, hope, spontaneity, and genuine love and adoration. Pray provided wisdom, stable support, a home, and love. Ricky was always searching for this. Though we got to meet who Pray thought was the love of his life in episode 5, taking to church of this season, something tells me, well, actually, Pray Tell's actions tell me that Ricky was actually the love of Pray Tell's life. The drugs from the trial gave Pray a second chance, a new hope, and a belief in endless possibilities. But a conversation after rehearsal with Ricky changes all that. Ricky reveals a chest lesion he has and mentions how he thinks that this is the end, and we should have known then. Child, we should have known then that would change everything. We know that Ricky is HIV positive as well, and his and Pray Tell's relationship started when he found out, lost hope, and needed help making sense of what the rest of his life would be. We don't realize it in the moment, but when Pray Tell tells Ricky, "I got you," he really means it. Yeah, y'all. Ricky had to be the love of his life. He literally makes the ultimate sacrifice. We get a few moments that touch on the protest that erupts as a result of the disparities in the 80s and 90s with access to healthcare and medicine to treat HIV and AIDS patients. And these scenes model actual events that occurred led by the organization ACT UP. A lot of the imagery looked like photos from the active protests of Wall Street. The finale, well, the whole series, of course, but last night's finale was truly a poetic cinematic display of art imitating life. We start to close out the first part of the finale with a beautiful performance at the ball with Blanca and Pray Tell in the category dedicated to Candy as the incomparable Diana Ross. This was so fitting to prepare for Prey's exit, as the performance was fabulous, inspiring, and a glorious display of two friends who have lived, learned, and loved together. And these friends finally arriving to a place in life where they feel in control and triumphant. I'm not gonna lie, after watching that performance, I started to get an eerie feeling because I was just feeling way too good. It just made me feel all warm and fuzzy, and I thought to myself, this is halfway through a 2-hour episode. Ain't no way I'm gonna stay this happy the whole episode. Then we get to see after the ball, Prey is smoking a cigarette and tells Blanca it's just one. And it's the little subtleties of his interactions in this moment that really foreshadow what's coming next. His last words to Blanca are what he wants and knows his last words to her will ever be. He also ends with telling Christopher to keep Blanca safe, and I'm curious as to how Blanca did not catch that in the moment. Though Prey doesn't show it, he knew based on his decision, and I'm assuming how he was feeling, that this is the end, because he returns home, removes his makeup, prepares for bed with tear-filled eyes and a lot on his mind. Oh, that scene was truly poetic. Ricky is the one to find Prey, and child, that scene broke me. It was just so difficult to watch. Wait, scratch that. I started to break watching Ricky find Prey, but completely broke watching Blanca's reaction when she found out. Over their family dinner in Prey's honor, they figure out that Prey started giving Ricky his medicine when Ricky's simple self believed the lie that Prey told him about being able to get extra doses from the trial. I mean, when you're dying and a friend offers to help, I guess you're not thinking about how they can help. You're only thinking about the possibility of your life being saved. Yes, Ricky was definitely Pray Tell's love of his life, because the fact that he was able to give his meds to him, which also touches upon a really big common occurrence that was happening during this time in reference to med sharing because of the lack of accessibility and affordability of these drugs. So I love that they actually included this. But the fact that he gave him his drugs and knew what that meant for him, he knew that that meant a death sentence, and he was okay with it. He was settled with it. And by this time, we actually hear Pray Tell say that he's literally done everything that he has wanted to do, and he's good. He's made peace with it. That tells me that he really, really, really loved Ricky. I mean, after Pray Tell's death, it's pretty much nonstop tears for me. The scene with Pray's mom and Blanca, ooh, child. And watching Blanca hand out those lockets and give Pray's last words to all of his loved ones, oh my God. The second act of demonstration of the episode is the most powerful, as the people organize and decide to dump the ashes and even one recently deceased person on the doorsteps of the New York mayor. I mean, I know that I was a child during this time, but I had no idea all of this was actually going on. Last night was a real eye-opener, and then of course I got on my good sis Google after the fact to look up how much was actually true, and everything in the episode was based on something real that has happened, even down to the little moments, even the nuanced moments of like at the end where you see Ricky has tattooed Evangelista on his arm. That is based on Grandfather Extravaganza, which was told to us by Stephen Canals, one of the co-creators of Pose, on Twitter. I absolutely loved his commentary on Twitter last night, providing additional insight into the series and telling us how certain things came to be, why certain points and moments or scenes were very, very important or shot the way they were. This was just truly expertly done. I don't even know. I'm still like processing and making this breakdown video, but I don't even know what we're going to do now. Pose has truly changed the course of television, changed the landscape of television and what we can see and what we hope to see and what we should see on our television screens. And again, I'm still processing it. I really, really wish that it had an end. But let me finish the breakdown and then we'll talk about that. The last 30 minutes or so of the episode starts to reinvigorate hope as we start to see the cycle begin again. New characters, new beginnings, and what wisdom, poise, and winds our lovely stars have starts to benefit the next generation. Blanca is a nurse, finally full-fledged and official, thriving in her relationship with Christopher, and winds up taking in a patient who was recently diagnosed with HIV into the family, who also bears a striking resemblance to Blanca just 10 years ago. And this girl, with her new diagnosis, no family, no hope, is brought into the new and reborn House of Evangelista that is so adequately led by Ricky as house father and Blanca as house grandmother. And in a truly poetic finish, Elektra announces Blanca has ascended to the legendary status during one of the balls, and the whole gang is in on the surprise. Blanca marvels in her moment and even stays to the very end when everyone else has left to really take it all in, all that she's done and how far she has come. In the final moments before walking out, she hears words from Pray Tell and then is approached by a new mother who is struggling to help herself and her house find their place and success at the balls. And Blanca gives her the exact same advice Pray Tell gave her at the start of the series. And with those sweet words and Blanca's fierce walk, we end. All of our main characters that are still alive are living in their dreams and have truly manifested exactly what they wanted. Earlier in the episode, during a lunch, we see that yes, Blanca has become a nurse. Elektra's sex business is growing and legal, so she shifted out of phones and now is into webcam life and is even richer than she ever could imagine. Lulu's a successful accountant and doing taxes for the who's who's. And Angel is thriving as a mom and is back modeling. Damon is living in Chicago, living with the love of his life and teaching dance. And as I mentioned, Ricky is still dancing and performing and thriving, but also house father to Evangelista. Even though we had a few tragic ends and we lost some really pivotal, amazing, phenomenal characters, I think that how they chose to end this series was very beautiful, very endearing, and a love letter to the fans, because it wasn't just all struggle or trauma. In Pose, there is so much triumph, so much beautiful triumph, and it's truly inspiring to see. Pose will certainly go down in history as a true work of art, transformative television, and thought-provoking, empathy-inducing, and love-expanding cinema. It is truly great, and thank you to the many creatives, cast, and crew behind this work of art. You all outdid yourself, and we are forever grateful. MJ, Indya, Billy, Dominique, Angel, Angelica, Dyllon, Hailie, Ryan, I am so happy to have met you through this series and look forward to continuing to watch you grow, your careers flourish, and your lights burn brighter than ever. Live, work, pose.
Don't you know I want it more than I want to? Usually got way too much pride, but for you I put it aside. 'Cause I can't see you with nobody else. It would eat me up alive.